Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And it's time for a Friday review episode.
Hopefully you all survived Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Your stomach intact.
Yeah. Not ruptured, binge and purge.
No.
Just good, healthy, if
Excessive
slightly
eating.
excessive
Yeah.
eating of food. Whether with friends, family, by yourself, whatever. Eat a whole turkey on your own.
Hopefully
You do you.
you didn't burn your house down with a fried turkey.
Also, yes.
Or any
Situation.
other ways.
Yeah.
all
Your
the
house.
other ways you can burn a house down.
Yep.
Don't do the fried turkey inside.
No.
With a frozen turkey, that is.
I'd say drop the frozen turkey into the fryer from the third story.
Yep.
That can never go wrong.
It's like
No.
a water balloon fight
Well,
with
you wanna-
frozen turkeys.
And you want to soak up all that grease. It's like a bunch of newspaper right on the bottom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Stuff the turkey with newspaper.
There you go.
Like
Frozen newspaper.
frozen newspaper.
Oh, geez.
Cooking with Mile High Game Guys.
Yes. Anyway, this week's featured review is Between Two Castles of the Mad King Ludwig, a 2018 release from designer Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett. Artists include Laura Bevan, Agnieszka Dabrowska, and other ones that I can't pronounce. Published by Stonemaier Games, it plays 2 to 7 players and takes 45 to 60 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules rundown for us?
Yes, I do. In Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, you are collaborating with your neighbors to build castles for the Mad King. Each turn, you will draft 2 tiles from a stack and place 1 in each of your castles. There are 7 types of rooms that you can draft, each with different scoring conditions. After placing 3 of a given tile type, you will gain a specific bonus, and placing 5 will let you put down a special tile. After 4 turns of drafting, you will grab a new stack and draft in the opposite direction. After another round of drafting, you will compare scores on each of your castles, and your final score is your worst castle. Whoever has the best worst castle wins.
So, before we get into the review, it's important to note, as we always like to do, this was a review copy sent to us by Stonemaier Games.
It just showed up in an email. Had no idea we were getting it. And I was like, did I order? No. Wait.
There was
Oh.
there was a thing that Jamie had sent out about
Yeah.
reviewer.
A survey.
But it was
Survey
just a
thing.
survey, and it
Yeah.
was just like,
But there was would you be interested in
Yeah.
What
like,
one of these games would you be interested in?
unannounced so-and-so tile game? And we're like, whatever. And just put
Chose
stuff
that,
in.
and yeah. So
I think he ended up sending out a lot of basically just that for as far as I'm aware.
so
He
any-
does a big blog post and details all that kind of stuff, and that's where he said it.
Yeah, he's very open about things.
Yes.
So, which we like to be, which is why, again, stressing this is a review copy. Take that into consideration as we play it. We didn't spend money on it. We didn't buy it. It was just sent to us.
Yes.
But whatever. So let's get into some initial thoughts here. Jeff, you were the one who actually got it sent to you because you are the one who sets up all of our interviews with Jamie at Gen Con and things like that. You're the
Yes.
one who got the survey and filled it out and everything. So the package got sent to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were also the first one to play it. So what were your initial thoughts going into Castles of Mad King Ludwig?
Well, I knew it was a combo between Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Between Two Cities,
Yes.
of which I had never played. It sort of kind of came out of the blue on the received end. That email just was like, uh-oh, did I order something I wasn't supposed to? And I know we had talked about it when it was announced, and we had played a little bit of you guys had played a little bit of the other pieces, and we had sort of chit-chatted about that. But I was looking forward to giving the game a shot. Wasn't really sure what it was, kind of learned it right out of the rule book, and played it at a game night.
Right on. Zach, what about you? What were your initial thoughts going into it?
I was a fan of Castles of Mad King and had heard good things about Between Two Cities. And so I was like, oh, it combines both of them. That sounds interesting. Let's see how it goes. And I was vaguely positive and be like, okay, yeah, I'm
No reason to shit on this yet.
exactly. Yeah.
For myself, I was interested in it. Same thing. I vaguely knew of Between Two Cities as a Stonemaier Games game and how it played.
Line.
Yeah, and I knew the concept of, you're working on a city to your right and a city to your left, and you take the lowest score. And then I was familiar with Castles Mad King Ludwig. Like Jeff, I hadn't played either one of the ones that made up this game at the time. So I was initially really looking forward to trying it out because I was curious how that'd go, building really weird castles between each other. Then I saw you guys playing it at that game night, and the first thing that stood out to me there was that they were just squares, which immediately killed almost all of my initial enthusiasm and interest in the game, because I was like, well, now they're not weird, unique, crazy castles.
Tetris-y pieces.
Yeah. And then after talking to you guys, you said that you still felt that it met that in a different way, which kind of got me back to maybe cautiously optimistic about it. You guys were both pretty positive on it. So ultimately, by the time I got to play it, I was back to feeling more positive than negative, but I was still a little disappointed it wasn't going to be the weird Mad King Ludwig pieces in between two castles. So let's move over to components. This doesn't have a ton of components, but the components it does have, I think, are really good. There is a fantastic insert.
Game trays.
Yep.
Game trays insert. Holds all of the stacks of the different tiles in such a way that
it has the little trenches on the sides of it, so you can just push down to grab it, which is nice. And it has it's numbered for how many people you're playing with.
Yeah, so it'll point out individually, these are the ones you should use in 1 to 2 player, and then it goes all the way to 7, because there's 21 times 7 square tiles in this game.
Yeah. And so when you're setting up, it makes it really easy too, because it's just grab that stack and hand it to the player, and that's their starting hand. Grab that stack, starting hand, stack, starting hand.
There's a spot for all your starting throne rooms.
Yep.
There's an entire other insert that is all of your special tiles.
Yeah.
And your court royal attendants and things like that. And the utility cards. Everything's very, very well organized in all of the different rooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or different trays.
Yeah. And you just take those out when you're actually playing.
Yeah.
And,
you just take them all out, put them in the center of the table, and that's your setup.
Yeah.
And it's boom, it's there.
Yeah.
The only thing is you have to shuffle. That's about all that you have to do.
Yeah. The tiles are all really good.
Yeah.
They're, nice, thick. They've got good, the artwork's fantastic, I think, throughout it. There's
quite a lot of detail in those small tiles.
Yes.
But not confusing.
No.
No.
Small. It's really clear, I feel, if what spaces it's referring to, the colors around it, saying which type it is.
There's symbols and color for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They came in punchboard, Jeff, I assume.
Yes, a lot of punchboard.
Which is the only reason I ask is because this is one of the few games that I can think of, especially recently, that the tiles, you can't really feel the little nibs were it was connected. They're really well cut out.
Yeah.
In that die process.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
There are the little objective cards, utility cards,
bonus cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the stars come in.
Yep. They're small.
Stonemaier games has to be some stars.
So it has to be. They're little mini cards, not very big. They seem, decent quality. Nothing really super stood out to me about them. You don't use them very often, so it's not like you're constantly handling them to get a feel for how good of quality they really are.
And they have their own slot in the tray, and that's just where they live.
Yep.
But that's basically it for components.
There's 7 different castle meeples.
That's right. The unique castle silhouettes.
Yes, and they're all based off actual castles in the world.
Different colors.
And that's just kind of how you mark your draft selection being complete.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter other than this, and it even color or symbols on them don't really matter, just because it's this one represents the castle to my left, this is the one to my right.
Yeah.
And it's just helping for drafting.
Yep. But it is nice to have cool little realistic castle meeples.
No, yeah, definitely. And then especially when you realize that a lot of the castles you built look very similar to those.
Yes. There's not much else in there besides the next piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's components. There's not a whole lot there. For iconography, because we do talk about graphic design and stuff in this, the iconography is really clear.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned it a little bit with everything was icons and colors.
Yeah. And it's what the icon is on the left represents what it is. And then the one on the right is decorations. Certain things use different ones. And even in the cheat sheet thing, little, info card, it uses circles for room type and then squares for decorations too. So it helps keep those differentiated too.
I guess this is a good point to mention that all of the symbolism in this comes from Castles of Mad King Ludwig. All of the room symbol icons, I think, are all the same.
At least color wise, like the colors,
the actual symbol that represents the.
That's true. I mean, more or less, yeah.
That's where a lot of the comparison begins and ends with Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Yeah.
Right on. Let's move on over then into rules and rules explanation. Again,
as is Stonemaier tradition, the rulebook is real good.
Yeah. I haven't seen the rulebook really.
But you didn't really need to.
No. It teaches really well. I can attest to that.
I think you could easily teach it in under 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you don't even, once you know the rules, you don't even need to really touch that rulebook ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm even struggling to think of any kind of weird, tricky thing that's easy to mess up.
The only thing I would say is, because there's two different types of tiles. There are outdoor, like in terms of the borders of the tiles, there's outdoor ones and non-outdoor ones
with white and blue borders.
Yes, and the blue bordered ones, they can't have anything on top of them, but that doesn't mean that they're an outdoor tile. And like the outdoor ones have a green specific symbol on them, whereas the fountain and the tower, they are outside, but they're not outside tiles. They're just special tiles.
Yes.
And
that you can't build. Basically, the blue means you can't build on top of it.
Yeah. And some people got that wrong our first 1 or 2 times playing. Yeah. It's just like, oh, yeah, this is an outdoor tile because it's outdoor. It's like, oh, no, well, it's outdoor because it has to be this one symbol. Yeah. And so I've mostly taught off the quick reference sheets because it's all you need.
Yeah. It's got a really good breakdown on there. And I guess another tricky thing is understanding what rooms can go where in your castle. Yeah. Because you have your throne room and then you have below ground and above ground.
Yeah. And that is one you'll catch on to really quick. But I do know, like, my first game, I think it was.
And you asked me, are you talking about the downstairs?
There was one of the castles, I think it was you, because I think you were sitting to my left in it, where I built a couple things underground that weren't supposed to be.
Oh.
And then we realized it and we were like, well, shit. All right, well, let's just move it up to this other legal place.
Oh, that wasn't mine. No.
It must have been Jeff then. Which, sucked because, like, it affected, like, when I placed it underground, it was a strategic decision. And then when we realized that, we're like, oh, it can't be there and just throw it up somewhere else. We just threw it up there willy-nilly to wherever, we could, which hurts you a little bit. But yeah, because it's easy to forget sometimes, especially since some of the tiles, like, they're looking for things all around them. But that's not always something you can actually achieve.
Yeah.
Just because of where it can go. Like, there's a tile that has, like, greenery on both sides and all 3 across the top.
Basically everything except directly underneath.
Yeah,
which would be impossible.
And there's no way to actually get all 5 of those because you can't put a greenery on top of another greenery.
Yeah.
So really, you're only ever going to get 3 out of the 5.
But
there's just some variance in where the other.
And then that's also why it's worth 2 points versus 1.
Yeah, so, I mean, they balance those kinds of things, but
because there's six legal spots, but you can only fill 3 of them. So that's how they're like, well, you can still get the full amount.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'll see that with the ones that like go all the way around. It's like, this feels like you should put it maybe here, but no, it's not the right one. It can't actually go below that line.
Yeah.
Another couple little things, the certain tile, like the basement tiles will have arrows that score everything above and below them, where I think it's like the yellow food tiles will score things like directly above or directly below or left or right.
Yeah.
The sleeping rooms will do or the corridors will do everything around it.
For decorations.
Yeah.
Living rooms are everything around it for room type. And then one other sort of tricky thing is the utility rooms that says based on connected, but that just means within the same room type. So you can have
and adjacent.
Yeah, adjacent to it, and then also further away if it's the same type. So if you have 2 living rooms that are right next to each other, and then you have it next to it on the side, and it's connected living rooms, both of those will count as long as you can trace it from living room to the utility room.
Yep.
And then I'd say one final thing is that it has to be logistical sense for how you're building the castle. So if you're building an upstairs like on the second floor above, you have to have something underneath it to support it.
Yep.
Whereas a basement downstairs, you can build out. You don't have to have something above it to support it.
Yeah.
Which I remember you had asked Adrian, and I was like, well, no, you can't build out to the side. But I mean, it makes sense if you could, if it was a basement. And so we had to look it up to double check. And it was like, okay, yeah, you can do that. It never came out before.
Yeah. All the throne rooms are different. So it adds a little bit of variety in what you start with, but they're not that.
They're not that different, but they do have different, like, it's like, oh, you want living room and corridors on the sides, or you want some sleeping rooms up top. It'll be different locations on the tile itself. It won't be just the same, like, left and right.
Yeah.
But for that, you can have either or both. Like, you can have 2 sleeping rooms or a food and a sleeping, or 2 food, and it still scores the same.
Mm-hmm. It basically just gets you 4 easy points.
Yeah, and it's something to... it gives you a good jumping off point, which I think is
like,
good.
what should I get? Because I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess one of these 2 types and put that in there. And
yes. I think one other thing, too, is that when you choose the 2 out of your stack, you're not choosing one...
For each castle.
Specifically, you're choosing 2, and then you get to talk with your... Once everybody is finished, you get to talk with your neighbors. So sometimes you can be like, oh, this downstairs one's going to be great. And then you realize, oh, Adrian got this other thing that my other card has been great for. I can just use that. You're not locked into it.
Usually that's a pretty easy decision which ones are going where.
Yeah.
But you're never actually need to do that.
Exactly.
Because it is a collaborative game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not really cooperative.
No.
Okay. Any other rules?
I mean, at the end of the game, when you're, it's all about whoever has like I said, the best worst castle.
Yes.
But then if the best worst castle is shared between 2 people, it's whoever has the best castle then on the other side. So yeah. But when we did 3-player, we were 1 point away from having a 3-way tie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did we ever figure out what the other tiebreaker? Because in between 2 cities,
it's like
there is another
amount of special rooms or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Foyers and fountains
and towers.
One other sort of component thing I wanted to talk about too that I just remembered is the score sheet. It actually has like not only the room type, but then each individual room breakdown too, which is nice.
Yeah, if you got... I don't remember counting across, but it's probably like if you had 10 of that one room type, you would have enough room to be able to score each room individually of that room type.
Yeah, and it even as you get down, it tapers off to where like you can only ever have one, like for your entrance hall or whatever.
The throne room.
There's only one box for it because you can only ever score that one time.
And then the attendance, there's 2. Like it has all the amount of logistical spaces you can have for those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine actually using 10 of one of the tiles. Like, this one castle of mine has all of the workshops. Super fuck not only your castles, but my other castle as well.
Well, and it's like I'm assuming that there is like for the towers and fountains, I'm assuming there's enough space to where if you literally only went for those and that's it has enough space for those, and
Yeah. It's an interesting way to go through the scoring of it, but after you get used to it, it works well.
Yeah, it makes it really easy to double check too, as long as people score in each box for like the bedrooms. Each one gets its own score. So you can be like, all right, there's 4 bedrooms. Yeah. There's 4 bedroom boxes. Cool.
I'll tell you this, the first couple times you play this, you're probably going to score stuff wrong. We all did.
Yes. Missed a point here, too much here, too little there.
I did.
Well, because we corrected you.
Yeah.
You just taught me well enough.
Yeah,
that I didn't
exactly. We didn't teach ourselves well enough.
Yeah, exactly. And then what's funny is that Paul was like, man, this is bullshit that they have like all these extra spaces for the room thing.
I'm just going to score all of them in one.
Yeah, and then he missed like 5
big
points.
Time. Yeah.
Hashtag bullshit.
Yep. And they're all double-sided.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we've quickly gone through them by playing it so much.
Yes, definitely we'll want to laminate a couple.
Yeah.
And then also the special tiles, like the fountain and the tower, they're double-sided, whereas the other ones are not. So when you're breaking down the game,
just flip everything
you
over.
flip everything over, and then you won't accidentally get towers like thrown into that box. So which is something that you might not think about, but you're like, no, that's a good design decision. Because the first time I think someone just flipped over, is like, wait, where are the towers? All right, I'm gonna fucking find all these things. It makes it really easy for cleanup.
Cool. Well, let's move on over to some gameplay then. So before we get too much into gameplay, like I know during initial thoughts, Jeff and I mentioned that we hadn't played either Castles of Mad King Ludwig or Between Two Cities. As part of reviewing this, we did make a point to where we have all now played each of the predecessors. So we've
Each of the
at least once.
family members
Yes.
of this.
So we've each played Between Two Cities at least once, and we've each played Castles of Mad King Ludwig at least once.
Which, when we wanted to review this, we were like, we need to do both of those, and so I think that's one reason why this ended up getting pushed
a little bit longer than we wanted to.
Because it was just like, all right, well, we still need to get not only 4 to 5 plays of this game, but of getting plays of Between Two Cities and Castles as well, and
we're rapidly going into holiday season, and things have been hectic, and so it took a little while for us to get caught up on all that, but
our due diligence,
yes,
was being made.
Yeah,
we try to be thorough.
Try being the operative word.
Yeah, and in this case, succeeded.
Yes,
Indeed.
So, just to be aware, we do have that background kind of going into them.
Although we didn't play Between Two Cities with the expansion,
or
Castles with the expansion.
No,
nobody had the cities expansion that we knew.
That's true.
You did have the Castles expansion, but
it's like
Jeff
we don't need
two brand new players and Zach.
Yeah.
So, and then we didn't have a chance to play it a second time with the expansion.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine because very core game concepts
what
are there.
came from Castles wasn't from the expansion.
Yeah.
It was from the base game.
And same thing, I don't
Between
think
Two
really
Cities.
what came from cities came from the expansion. It came from the base game. So, but gameplay,
It's a quick game.
it's quick. Like this is another one of the few where their 45 to 60 minute playing time isn't very far off.
Sometimes less.
Sometimes less if you're playing with like people that know the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say for the most part, between let's say between 3 and 7 players, the game time isn't that much different.
Nope.
What player counts have you guys played at?
The highest I've played is 6.
6 as well.
Yep.
And I've done 3 and 4 also.
Because mine have all been 3 or 4. And I didn't really notice a difference in time or anything between 3 and 4. I could see that becoming more of an issue in a 5, 6, 7, but
no, it wasn't. Like for the most part, everybody was, because a lot of the time in this game, I think, is discussing strategy with your neighbor.
Yes. And when you get your different powers from sets.
Yes, but because everybody's dealing with it at the same time, it doesn't add that much unless you're Paulin and not talking to your neighbor, Jeff. And so he's just sitting there, and then bitches when he and Jeff get the shittiest guess.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Coming off that, the longest time is like when you have a power to your right with your partner and a power to your left. Because you have to kind of do one and then you have to do the other. So it can kind of take a little longer.
which is where having like an even number of players can be useful. Like, in my experience only with 3 and 4, with a 3-player game, there'd be times when like Jeff and Zach and I both had powers between us. So it'd be like, I'd confer with Zach for a bit and then confer with Jeff for a bit. And then maybe go back to like, see what we ended up with Zach and then go back to Jeff, whereas in the 4-player game we played with Wes, it was really nice because it seemed like it almost always happened where, like if Jeff and I were collaborating on a bonus thing, you and Wes were able to.
Yeah, exactly.
And even just during the normal build phase too, where it's like, okay, Jeff, you and I have our tiles, and while we're doing our 2, you and Wes can do yours. And then we finish, and then now Jeff and Wes does theirs, and you and I do ours.
Yeah, with the 3-player, it was definitely like there was points where all 3 of us had things to do on all of it, and so it was like, all right, Adrian, we need these 5, like we pick 5 tiles or grab 5 tiles and choose one. I was like, you guys do that. I'm gonna look at our 5 tiles, Adrian, and figure out. And then once you guys figured out what you were gonna do, I was like, all right, well, me and Jeff need to do something. I've narrowed it down to 3. You pick from there.
Yeah.
So
or there could be like a little conference where it's like, okay, I've narrowed it down to like, I think it should be this, this, or this. And here's why I think that, think about what you think, and I'll be right back while I go talk to my partner.
Yes.
Which is really kind of an interesting, and I felt it a little bit when we played Cities, but Castles, I think, did a little bit better because of bringing in all of that extra weird
the more
adjacency
complicated
scoring.
the more complicated scoring from Castles.
You end up even just placing the tiles, like you're really coordinating with your partner. Like, you'll both go, especially like in the early round, maybe your throne room wants purple and red are 2 points, and you both flop out 2 purples, and it's like, okay, well, we could just do them on either side and still get the points, but maybe we want to stack them on one side and then do a red over there because we still need to get a red in our castle. You know, like just trying to figure out the best way to place your tiles.
And there's no reason, because like it is very a collaborative experience when you're building the castle with your neighbors, because you want each castle to be as good as it can be.
Yes, because you score the lowest.
You score the lowest, but what you want to do is you want to, if you see like maybe your neighbor's other castle is like in desperate need of outdoors or whatever, and you're just like, I'm just gonna keep taking these outdoors and putting it over here so they don't get it. But
see, I haven't gotten quite that mean with it yet. I haven't gotten that forethought.
It's only possible in lower player counts.
Yes, because that is something I was going to mention too. Is that you really know, because the tiles are always faced at, like what we've done in the last couple times is you just sort of shuffle all the tiles together and then put them back into the game box.
Stacks of 9,
because when you're collapsing the game, you'll get a lot of like, oh, I'm gonna collapse my collapse my castle, but I had
7 outdoors.
Yeah, 7 outdoors. So you'll be a lot of outdoors and certain things that if you don't shuffle that up in lower player counts, you're gonna notice the lack of certain tiles.
Yeah,
just because it's randomly distributed, that you'll be like, oh, we only have 4 food for the entire 4 castles that we're building this entire time because of which ones we grabbed.
Yeah,
so. Sometimes that can sort of, I haven't noticed the thing where it's actually screwed you.
No.
Except near the end when you want a sleep tile and you're just like, look, we just need 1 utility. And just nobody sees any. And you're just like.
Then you notice the castle that has 7 in it.
Yeah.
It's like, you fuckers.
You fuckers.
Sometimes you notice that the castle that has 7 of them is your castle, and the castle that has none of them is also your castle. And you're just like, I'm a fucker.
Yeah. Yep. And then that's where you're like, oh man, my neighbor convinced me that we really needed utilities over here.
The nice thing about me, the one game where that really happened to me was I got lucky. It was one of our 3-player games where none of the castles got all of the rooms. So none of the beds were worth the full value, which kind of kept it in the realm of even.
Yeah, because if someone gets a lot of... because you can definitely like halfway through look at your castle and just be like, no one's sleeping here. We are missing like 4 out of the 7 things.
Or mostly dungeons and secret labs.
And corridors. That's about it.
So many corridors.
Yeah, so many corridors. So you'll end up passing those along because you're like, well, I don't need these, so let's just pass them. And then somebody's like, if somebody sees that people are passing those along, they're like, I'm going to take advantage, grab like 5 of them. And then their main goal is like, oh, I just got to make sure I have 1 of everything. And that's an extra like 20, 25 points. Or 24, I guess, technically.
It could be a lot.
Yeah. Because I think that's sort of another thing, too, in this game is that you're not really paying attention to what, like, obviously, even in your own castles, unless you're sort of dickish about it, you're not really going to know how much it's worth. Like, you're not going to be like, count up your points and be like, all right, this one is worth 65, this one is worth 60, so I need to get 5 more points on this one. You just, like, look at it and you're like, I mean, I feel like I'm missing some stuff here, but...
You just sort of look at what tiles you have and what your castle immediately needs.
Yeah.
That would be worth the most points.
Exactly.
I'm sure someone could keep it in track in their head every time they're laying a tile, but, that would take forever.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to play with that person because this game is supposed to be short.
Yeah. But you're not really noticing what your other opponents are really doing.
That's way too much, especially in like a larger play count.
Yeah, with 7, you're not going to notice 4 of the castles.
No. You're going to be far too worried about your own.
Yeah.
You should be far too worried about your own to spite draft out something. But that would be real weird.
Yeah. Now, you're not allowed to talk with your partner
once the draft
begins. But before that, like after you place down the things, you can just be like, look, we need downstairs. Make sure you see those. It's fuck that other.
Of course, what you just passed a certain direction.
Yeah. And then you feel like a real piece of shit when you forget it. You're like, you go grab and you're like, oh man, I don't remember what I gave to Jeff, so I can't get him to like, I can't remember what he's probably going to pick and then choose based off of that.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the different bonuses that you get from laying them down? the different tiles.
I think they did a good job, and this is one of the things that like cities did too, where like, you know, yellows score in this way, blues score in this way. They did a good job where they all did different enough things that you're using them differently, but they all still fall together in an interesting way. So it's not like you just have like, this is my yellow section, this is my blue section, this is my red section. You end up having some benefit from being mixed in, where some do benefit from being like, this is just this section.
Yeah.
And then some of them, like the dungeons, obviously just end up as dungeons because that's all they can be. So you end up with the bottom very homogenous, but the upper part, it lends to an interesting mix. And it's kind of interesting, especially with, I can't remember which ones that typically score for the decorations.
Those are the corridors, because those corridors are usually like, it's, you know, everything around it that has like torches. Yeah. And so if you get 3 of those, then you get to put one of the royal attendants, which gives you extra points on whichever one you want. You get to choose. Yeah. And what's nice is that they do let you double up on those if you want. Because even though you can only get each of those bonuses once from like the corridors, you can only do that once. Downstairs lets you copy another thing if you would like.
Yes.
So there are ways to get more bonuses than you would normally be able to. But
which is why the score sheet has like 2 spots for those, because it's just the one time plus a basement.
Which there's only room in your throne room for 2.
Yeah. And then also, but you know, the basement, whichever one you choose, like that's the only extra one you're getting. So it's good things that you should be like, what you're already focusing on, you should use that to help. Or that's what's nice about the food or downstairs in that one, is that it can help you if you're not seeing that one, like that one piece. Utility. Yeah. You have a chance to get more of them.
Yeah. And that's where I saw the most comparison to Castles of Mad King Ludwig to this game, is
because that had completed rooms and you got to do bonuses depending on which type of room it was.
And the bonuses were basically the same.
More or less, yeah.
Like the food room was
extra turn in castles.
Get an extra turn, or get 5 tiles, choose one, which is basically an extra piece.
Yes.
The downstairs just kind of get any other bonus, which is very similar.
Yeah.
The utility one was get another endgame victory point card.
Yeah. Which for those, you do get to draw 3 and choose one, so you can, you know,
they have a lot of like where there is randomness, they mitigate it.
Yeah.
You know, draw 5, choose one, draw 3, choose one, things like that. So you're not like, oh, I drew this thing that's completely fucking useless for me.
Right.
And very similar to Castles of Mad King Ludwig, those endgame victory bonus cards are all over the place and what they can be. I think there's 25 different, something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're all interesting.
They're all varied, but sometimes
have an extra point per width of your castle
or height, or then imagine if you got both of those, then you're just like, it is one row and one column, and it is just an X, a giant X or cross or
We've
plus.
Done that once.
Yes, we have. That's another thing I really like, is that concern you had, Adrian, when you first saw us play, and you were like, oh, it's just squares, where like castles has all these weird, unique shapes.
Where's the Mad King come in?
Yeah. But after we played it, I still felt that, even though it is more restrained, all the castles look different because all the tiles that people drafted made you go like, it's like, oh, I had this downstairs one that's like, oh, you do utilities on top of this. Then people are like, well, we're fucking stacking the utilities sky high on that one. And these just giant towers, or it was just like,
or early on you draw a bonus card that's like 1 point for every width. And it's like, we're just going to do everything in a big fucking line.
Yeah. Yep. Or it's just, you get one that's like, you get 2 downstairs that are like, you get plus for downstairs. And it's just like, you have your throne room and like one other thing, and everything else is underground.
Yep.
It still has the weird rooms that the castles has. So like I think the theme of this goes well, but the mechanics don't, like putting food down. You're going to score extra points based on what's around it. But that each, like, it doesn't matter which room it is, because some of them are, it could be more food, or it could be utilities or whatever. It's like, that part's sort of arbitrary, but like after the end results of your castle, you can look and be like, oh, we have these
actual name rooms.
Yeah, your actual name rooms, and seeing how you've put shit. You can be like, oh, this is like, we're going really weird with this.
But you could just make it fit some kind of goofy narrative.
Exactly. Yes.
Which adds a lot of levity. Like, maybe you've got like the spy room and then like the torture chamber and then like the darkest pit.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like, the spy rooms were the base interrogate and then they move and then they move. Or like you end up with like the pillow room and the blanket room and they're one's right above the other.
You can only go to one.
You can only go to one of them.
You can only go to one. You can go to the other if you want, but no blankets and pillows can share in the same room.
Which the correct answer, by the way, is always go to the blanket room because you can bottle a blanket up into a pillow. Pillows make terrible blankets. Blankets make okay pillows. But that was a thing that went away for me entirely. Once that was a concern that I had going in, but then as soon as I played it, that went away. The castles have always been just completely different in all of my plays. To the point that even, the little castle symbols, like during some downtime on one of the games, you were like, this castle, I'm actually going to change all these little wooden pieces because that castle looks like this one, and this castle looks like this one, and this castle looks like that one.
And they're like, Zach, where do you... Oh, wait, you're right.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So.
And then in that same sort of bringing levity, you get to name your castle, and so it was always weird names. Sometimes people sort of cop out and just make portmanteaus of people's names. And it's the...
And by sometimes you mean every time Jeff names a castle.
That is correct.
They do have interesting names.
Jeffrian.
Although I will agree with Adrian on this one. When you combined Adrian in your name, you did a riff instead of
drift.
You didn't do a drift.
A riff.
You just a riff.
Yeah.
So you just took my A.
Yeah.
And then
D,
a random R out of nowhere.
R. A-R.
No, you left the D out because it should have been a dref.
Yeah.
A dref. Yeah.
And it was just a ref.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas compared as with my Pocket Snake Place, or we had Fort Girth.
Girth and Long Johnson.
Long Johnson, and then the imposing cylinder.
Yes.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Another thing I'd say, too, is just like the scores are usually, because everybody is trying to do their best, their earnest best on each of the castles, they're all, unless somebody gets super lucky, like they all seem to be like within like a 10-point.
Yeah, I haven't really seen the biggest swings
range.
I've seen is like if there's in like a 4-player game, castles where you in a 3-player it felt pretty even because like you are working your best on both castles, one of which includes mine. Jeff's working his best on both castles, one of which includes mine, and then I'm working the best on mine. So that one seems more even. It seems like with 4 players, I saw the most discrepancy between like, player 1 and player 2 and player 3 and player 4's castles because there's no common ground between any of them. In a 3-player game, there's at least common ground in each of the castles. Which I think serves as a balancing function. I'd be curious to play more of like for me personally, I'd be curious to play any of a 6 or a 7-player and see if the castles still come close or if you end up with certain ends of the, like maybe one end of the table does really well and one end of the table does really bad because there's less of that common ground.
Yeah. That's a good point. One thing I always found funny is that like I've probably played 6+ games of this. I want to say at least half of the games, if not more, have ended with both of my castles having the same score, which on the surface you feel like is great because you're like, oh man, it's all about being the best, worst castle. Both my castles are my best and my worst. Like they are bottom line, but then you realize if the people, your neighbors, their other castles are better than yours, then you're like, oh, this isn't good at all.
Tiebreakers.
Yeah, it's tiebreakers, and then you go from like thinking you'll be in 2nd or 1st to being in 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Way worse.
Mm-hmm. But this is another one like we saw with you and Paul, that your other guys' castles were great.
Yeah, phenomenal.
But then that center one just never kept together. It never clicked.
Yeah.
So then instead of doing great castles, you guys just did a shitty castle.
Yep. We're gonna share this shitty castle together, Paul.
Yeah.
Lander's got that great castle.
Yeah. I did.
78 points, I think. I think that's the highest point castle I've seen.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
in this game.
That's pretty high.
It was one that I saw that if it wasn't that one, it was someone that got a similar high amount of points. Was just like it was 5 sleeping rooms, and they all scored, and then they also did other shit too. But it was like
they got outdoor. They got you 2 points per sleeping room.
Yeah, or cards that got you sleeping rooms too, and it just all worked together to be like, yeah, we're nailing this.
And then they scored a different castle that was far worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we probably already covered it.
Yeah.
Was it between 2 cities?
Not really. I mean, I wasn't going to touch too much on them other than where we obviously have linked them.
Just a slight comparison to that one between 2 cities is this is definitely more complicated. Like it's that base game, but with the more complicated scoring of castles and that game.
I think that from if we were going to turn this into like a versus episode, it would be castles between 2 castles versus between 2 cities.
Yeah.
Because they feel the closest in terms of the way the game plays, but that change in scoring from kind of pushing away what was in between 2 cities and bringing in the Mad King scoring really makes this game feel deeper and more. It has more interesting decisions. Yeah. And then getting rid of in cities, the 4x4 grid or 5x5 grid.
4x4.
4x4.
And letting it just do whatever.
Well, yeah.
Brings more of that like Mad King feel where you end up with ridiculous layouts.
Yeah. I would say this takes the 100% of between 2 cities and then shrinks that down to like
90%.
Okay, 90%, sure.
Because you don't have a little 1x2 tiles.
I mean, you do, but you start with them instead of 95%. We'll go with that.
All right.
And then it shrinks that down into like 70%, and then adds like 30% of castles in terms of the scoring and bonuses and stuff.
Yeah, room styles and things like that.
So yeah, this is definitely a step up from between 2 cities. Now, like we said, we don't know what that expansion adds.
It seems like the expansion adds quite a bit of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't have access to it, so we didn't play it.
No, I feel like with that one, it goes way off. Yeah, we would draft and then we'd reveal the tiles and be like, all right, well, this goes here. Like it was very simple. Where, as Adrian was saying earlier, between 2 castles, you definitely have that thing of you flip it and you're like, all right, where do we want to put this? And what did you do? And how is that going to influence what I have? And then what are we going to try and focus on?
Yeah,
there's a lot deeper decisions and more planning that you're trying to do, and just
I think that wraps up gameplay. And I think our final thoughts are starting to become a little bit more crystallized as we've talked about things here, so let's just move right over into them. I was debating about throwing in comparing and contrasting with cities and
I feel like we are
castles, but I think we just covered that well enough. We don't need to touch on it. Yeah, this isn't a this versus this review. No. This is a review of castle between 2 castles. So,
which is a merger of 2 games.
Yep.
So, with that in mind, let's do our final thoughts here. Jeff, we started with you with initial thoughts. You were the one who got the copy sent to us through your interactions with Jamie. Let's start with you. What are your final thoughts?
I was impressed with this game straight out of the box. All the awesome insert in there. Easy to play at any player count. A lot of fun, easy but complicated decisions of trying to do the best you can, as long as you have the right partner that knows how to play the game. Yeah, great components, great gameplay, awesome, interesting decisions you make throughout the whole game. Good rulebook. Just another kind of crushed it out of the park from Stonemaier Games.
Right on. I'll go next. I was honestly shocked by how much I've liked this game. Like I actively want to play more. I think it fits a great niche where it plays. Just coming off the Dice Forge review, like one of the things I said about Dice Forge, the only reason I could really see playing it is that it plays in an hour or less. Then I played this, and it's like everything in that the time frame and simplicity to teach and all of that Dice Forge had as positives. This does too, with the addition of actual compelling gameplay, interesting decisions, interesting mechanics, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to play. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would going into it, to the point where I was joking, I think after our most recent play of it, our final play before the review, that I wanted to find a way to convince Jamie to send us like another couple of review copies just so we didn't have to fight over who gets to keep this copy. I don't think it's one that, although I would happily take it if like you guys had ended up hating it, I would be happy to have it in my collection. I ultimately don't think for me personally it's going to be one I'm going to go to often enough outside of like a game night scenario where I want something light and accessible.
Because it does get best at a higher player count.
Mhm.
Yes. So it's not going to be one that would hit the table regularly enough for me to justify personally owning it. Just knowing that one of you two has it and it's in the game night group. So if I want to play it, if I'm feeling like I want to play it, which I'm sure I'm going to want to more, I can just be like, hey guys, bring Between Two Castles to game night this week. I want to play it.
I don't see it ever not being in a game night bag from here on out.
Yeah.
Really,
It would become an immediate, if it was in my collection, it would be an immediate addition to my game night bag.
Mhm.
I did really like it. It's not the deepest. It's not the heaviest. If you're looking for really agonizing decisions, really tough things, there's not going to be a lot of that.
But I feel like no one would go into this game expecting that.
Right. But as like the heavy gamer
Yeah.
in the group,
I understand that. Yes.
it's not a heavy game. It's solid, medium light, I would say.
But I guess what I was just trying to say is that like I feel like that's what it's trying to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not trying to be anything different. But if you're somebody who just flat out doesn't like those kind of light games, this isn't going to be the game for you. For someone like me who does have some interest in lighter stuff outside of the heavy that needs to fit a specific set of requirements, this kind of does meet those for me. So it's one that I liked and I could see playing more. I think on BGG, as we were doing the review here, I had it pulled up. I think I threw an 8 on it. Yeah, because that's very good. Enjoyed playing and would suggest it, which I think for me nails Between Two Castles. Zach, bring us home.
It's just I was a little hesitant when we were first starting out, or like our first play, because like for that same sort of thing that you were saying, Adrian, of the thing I like about castles is the absurdity of it. And then seeing that it's just these tiles, it was like, well, this isn't exactly what I wanted. Within halfway through the first game, I was like, okay, well, that's out the window. I feel
how
like,
dare I ever feel that?
Yeah. It's real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Move, Zach. By the when I was done with the first game, I was like, holy fuck, this was so much better than I could have imagined. And then like, I already knew, I was like, even though I don't own Seven Wonders, this would replace it for me. I really like the drafting of this game, and I really like the fact that I feel that it is both a competitive and a cooperative game, but not a semi-cooperative game, because everybody is trying to do the best they fucking can with working with your neighbors, but still
there's no hostile actions in this game.
No. It's very few, and it has to be, you have to, one, I feel like you have to play it enough to be able to notice, to look at other people's shit like I was doing, and I was like, you guys need outdoor ones. I'm gonna start taking those because it also works with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I really liked the levity that was brought to the game.
The scythe room.
I think
there's not scythes in it.
No.
There's just crates of the game scythe.
Yes. I think they did a great job of using the Mad King theme in to add something interesting to the Between Two Cities gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it transformed the game into when we played that Between Two Cities. It was like, okay, it didn't help that we had played Castles first
and many times before,
but it was definitely, I played it and I was like, okay, I've experienced this game. I'm okay.
I see where the evolution.
I see where it came from. I don't need to play this again. I'm going to go back to the better version. Every time I've enjoyed it, every time I've played it, and I've always built different things, because not only is it based on what draft or what tiles you get, but what your partner is, what they want to go towards, what you want to go towards,
bonus cards,
all of that. So I feel like there's a huge replayability in this game.
It's like 147 tiles.
Yes.
Something like that. They're not all completely unique.
No.
But
like the sleeping tiles, they're all the same in terms of their abilities, but I think there's just so much here. Like as of right now, like after I start playing it, this is definitely going to be in my top 3 for the year.
Understandable.
Easily. And I just
did we ever mention that every tile has completely unique art on it?
No.
Yeah, but all 147 tiles are completely unique art.
I didn't realize that. I hadn't seen enough of them to realize they were
all of them are unique art.
Some of them are very similar.
They're similar, but
they are all completely unique. And the rules on them can be the same, but they are all unique art.
Yeah. So I just think they kicked it out. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
they kicked that football right out of
into the touchdowns.
Oh my God!
The run was batted in.
The run was batted in.
Oh my God! No, it hurts.
Yeah, for that extra point, they knocked that puck right into that stick, and then the people started running. It was just
the footy was insane.
Yeah, it was a ludicrous display. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this game. Just like you guys are saying, this is a perfect game night game, I feel.
Yeah. For all skill levels.
I think the best thing is because it's collaborative.
Yeah.
A new person isn't stuck, like they aren't in a bad position because an experienced person next to them can be like, hey, we should be looking for these and these because you're both trying to work. And so just because you're a new player doesn't mean you are not competitive in the game.
Yeah, you're not getting stomped on by anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed when I played that first game with you guys. It didn't, having both of you to confer with when there were decisions to be made helped like me not feel like I was left in the dust.
I think this would be a great gateway game to start bringing people in too.
Yeah.
So
better or worse than Terraforming Mars, because we haven't mentioned that at all yet.
First mention.
I mean, nothing compares to the holy grail of board gaming. That is Terraforming Mars.
It's true.
At least the holy grail of Mile High Game Guys board gaming.
Yeah. So it's a Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig out of Terraforming Mars.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a lot harder to hate draft in this game than it is.
Very true.
So I'm gonna have to give the edge to. Oh, thank God these were not in the same years for trying to compete for games.
Oh, yeah.
Right on. Well, that covers our end of things. Let's jump over to BGG real quick and see what listeners have to say about Between Two Castles. Zach, do you have that pulled up?
Yes, I do. This is from Macam Gain. There we go. He actually has a pronunciation thing underneath it. So that's
Enunciation guy.
Yeah. Macam Gain. There we go. Hi, MHGG guys. I finally got to play this one over the weekend and got immediately hooked. I feel like it's a drastic improvement over Between Two Cities. Granted, I have never played it with the expansion.
You're in that exact same boat.
And has a lot more freedom in scoring opportunities, which I think that's the 2x2 grid versus the freeform building really adds towards that, I feel.
4x4.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
Yes.
8x8.
No. No,
Mr. Superman.
The 2 draft rounds really make your choices mean more and keeps the game timer short while giving you some good chances at racking up the points. Lastly, the theme of the Mad King vibe really makes it where your bizarre castles don't seem so out of the ordinary. I'm curious what other game mix-ups like this you would like to see down the road. A war in Gloomhaven, but with a Scythe style of gameplay? Let us know your crossover tabletop ideas.
Definitely not Gloomhaven and Scythe. Definitely not.
Is that your number 1 and number 2 of your most overrated top 10 games?
No, I don't think Gloomhaven was overrated.
Okay.
He just butthurt.
I am butthurt that I got bumped out of Gloomhaven after one fucking game.
We had to loot your item thing last time because we're like, oh yeah, he still had shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to know where I stand in that whole situation. But I don't know. Other mashups, like, because I mean, this is not a mashup I ever would have suggested.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard sometimes, especially when you have one like this that puts it so obviously that maybe I wouldn't be good at picking mashups because I sure wouldn't have picked this and it
Right.
worked real well. You know, I'd love to see something with Terraforming Mars second mention. There was a thread on Board Game Reddit about Terraforming Mars Legacy.
Yeah.
So maybe, like, I don't know if that counts as smashing things up, but I'd love to see somebody find a way to make Terraforming Mars Legacy work. You know, each game is a generation instead of each round being a generation. You know, something like that.
How about this?
Okay.
Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
And Root. Woodland
Mm,
creatures.
Okay.
fighting on Mars.
Fighting on-
Martian woodland creatures. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No, Earth woodland creatures that just got out on Mars.
Okay.
That's where the
Well,
predators come in.
Okay. As long as I can still have my pets, that's all I care about.
Pets,
Yeah.
predators,
Uh-huh.
protected habitats,
Yeah. Huh.
ants.
Yeah. But what I'm hearing is that I get the predators, but then I also get protected habitats, and then nobody can touch me because I am immune.
I would want to see Root and Twilight struggle. Irie versus Cats.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Just,
Hundreds of years in the
Marquise.
future.
yeah, just
Cold War shit.
Cold War shit between the two empires trying to manipulate all the woodland creature locations.
Using fake history woodland creature headline
Correct,
cards.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I always thought it would be funny was to do Game of Thrones, but then anytime a battle would happen, you pull out the battle for Westeros, and you just have a battle of that.
Mm,
Well, or like the super mega, like over the top game where you play like something like Star Wars Rebellion.
Mhm.
yes.
And every time there's a fight, you start with Armada, and then every time there's a smaller fight, you
get
switch
To
to
X-Wing, and then any ground troops, you go to Imperial Assault.
Yep. Just game on game on game on game.
There is way too much Inception
Mhm.
going on there.
Oh,
I mean, the ground
But
battles
then-
would probably be pretty small.
But then when
Okay,
you get no, but
no,
when
I'm
you,
gonna stop this.
No,
We've gotten so
no.
far afield.
last one, when you actually have two people fight in Imperial Assault, then you whip out Destiny.
Yeah. Another layer.
Oh God. All
The
right.
Decipher card game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Well, on that note, let's wrap this review up.
He does say, "P.S. Thanks for the so many awesome podcasts."
Oh
guys."
yeah, the pronunciation, and then thanks
Yeah.
for so many awesome podcasts. We do what we can.
Yeah.
Most podcasts.
It's a hard line to keep.
Yep.
But that's the end of the review. If you enjoyed this review, if it sounds like a game you would like to pick up, there are plenty of ways to do so. It is widely available, ranging from, I see one, I don't know what shipping is on it, but $25 up to $34 on Amazon. So $25 to $34, all of which I think is a pretty reasonable price for this game. You get quality components and a lot of good game in there for that price. So yeah, and with an MSRP of 45, I think that getting it for 25 to 34 is a solid deal. So, yeah,
Yeah, especially for how much you will want to play this game.
Yeah.
Just in time for the holidays.
indeed. So that wraps everything up. If you want to get a hold of us, you can always send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Facebook or Instagram, both /MileHighGameGuys. We're active on Twitter. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
Our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, has the weekly episode posts, including the one specifically here for Between Two Castles, where you can leave feedback on this review or anything else we talked about in the Wednesday episode earlier this week. So jump over to there, join the guild, comment on things, do all of that fun stuff. Also be sure to check out milehighgameguys.com for all of our show notes with links to everything we talk about, including, links to the BGG page for the games we review and things like that, as well as links to our Slack channel where you can get on there and bullshit with all of the various members of the Mile High Game Guys greater fan base. We don't have a fancy name for our listeners.
It's mostly just all of our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a fair amount of
there
listeners
is,
from all
yes.
over the place. Yeah.
But they are also our friends.
Yeah, there you go.
Th-
They're just our friends.
There you go. Yes.
That's the name of our group.
Yeah.
Join all of the other Mile High Game Guys friends.
And then
Yes.
just fucking wank it while you're
Just
saying
nice slow stroke. Yeah. So all of those different ways to get in touch with us. If you feel inclined to do so, Otherwise, be sure to tune in next week for our regular Wednesday banter episode and then another top 10 episode because we are hitting episode 120. We are right rolling up there. We're like something like 300 total episodes now or something ridiculous.
Yeah, we just passed 100,000 downloads.
Yeah, that we didn't make a big deal about that. Mostly because we forgot about it until it was well past. It was like, oh yeah, we hit 100,000 episodes like 2 episodes ago.
We're just racking up 100,000 every other week. So
that's us. We're just getting too big for our britches.
But we got mighty big britches.
maybe when we hit 1 million in like a week or two.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Insanity Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.